going to talk about something that we haven't really kind of discussed at length with each other. So it's going to be quite fresh, exciting, and I'm pumped to hear your, where we take each other, I guess, about this subject. So the subject is jaded.
Dun, dun, dun. Jaded.
Jaded.
Yes, jadedness.
Yeah. How do we become jaded? I'm sure many of us, and many of us have felt jaded before, and
many times.
Hell yeah. So
many times.
It's not a resourceful state, is it? It's pretty unresourceful, to be honest. It doesn't feel good. And
absolutely.
So I thought let's talk about what it means and how we get there, perhaps. So once we know how we get there, then we can talk about, well, how do you avoid that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so jaded to me is how do I describe it? I would say it's a gradual, and I use this word on purpose, erosion of enthusiasm. That you start to get cynical about things, so that sort of cynicism kicks in, and it's sort of that kind of weary, like that weariness that kind of starts to sort of permeate the soul.
Yes.
So it's but it's quite interesting, because some people would say, well, or is it apathy? And actually they're jadedness and apathy are two very different things. But we'll talk about jadedness, first of all. It's that sort of disillusionment. It starts with disillusionment and sort of disappointment.
Well,
the great dream crushers, as we sort of say.
That I'm all about the words. I'm a cunning linguist. This about.
Yes.
And so I do love to look up etymology, which is the history of words. So of course I did a little bit of digging.
Interesting.
On the etymology of jaded, and it's really cool. Without getting too much into the bits and bobs, it actually comes from the 14th century, and originally it was the word jade was to describe a broken down / worthless horse. So a horse that had been used, on the farm, and it had just worked to the point where it was worthless, it was broken down, it was of no use anymore. So you can see how that through the ages has translated, because when you look up jaded now, from a dictionary perspective, it means bored or lacking enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And enthusiasm is when you look that up, enthusiasm is that intense or eager enjoyment or interest in something. Yeah. So you can see how this all unrolled. Now, the other thing I want to bring up, because you brought it up, so I'm just going to jump on your cape as I do, is the difference between a jaded person and a cynical person, bearing in mind that there is no wrong or right, as in everything only has the meaning you give it, right?
Yeah.
So jaded can mean whatever you want it to mean, to be honest. However, Adam and myself, we like to put some our own take on the meaning of it and see if it fits, see how it feels. Yeah. So a jaded person, I've written down here, it's when a person has had enough of a situation. So they know that they need to move or change something, move on or change the environment. They know that they are stagnant, a jaded person.
Yeah.
However, a cynical person tends to have an underlying distrust of the situation and of the alternative. So they don't look to move. They don't look to grow or change.
Well, yeah, but I agree with you, but it's kind of part of it, right? So, there's a few, because it's quite a complex process, right? So, it's a few different things. So, you know, it can be, you know, real life experiences that, you know, wear away at the enthusiasm. It can be, you know, shattered dreams that you wanted to go for something and it just didn't happen. And, you know, people around you went, oh, see, I told you so, blah, blah, blah. So there's overexposure to negativity, for example, you know, that then, you know, you can, the monotonous grind of a routine. People get jaded at work. They're just like, oh, is this all there is? I get up at 8, feed the dogs, go to work, come home, do dinner, go to bed, and do rinse and repeat. And they don't, they're too exhausted at the weekend, you know, so that's monotony. Emotional exhaustion, you know, is another thing, you know, being betrayed and, you know, the scars of that, being betrayed by friends or family and the ones that we thought loved us, and that distrust you're talking about. So that's where distrust comes in.
Cynicism. That's, you
know, where witnessing how those factors shape the outlook in life, right? So it's, you know, so that kind of distrust and that cynicism kind of kicks in from that aspect. You know, all of these things can add up to creating, you know, jadedness, if you see what I mean. That's where that kind of cynicism can kick in, like, oh well, it didn't happen before, and you know, everyone just reconfirmed it. You know, it's all kind of part of the same thing. It makes up a whole. Do you know what I mean? Well, it can be, I mean, any of those things can be missing. You don't need all of those things to become jaded. Obviously,
it's like cynicism is another level of jaded, isn't it? It's like another flavor, maybe.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, what's the point?
You know, because jaded can be exactly like you said it. When you think about jaded, when I think about jaded, I think about what you said originally, that kind of, oh, fuck, you know, rinse and repeat, here we go. And it's, you know, so let's talk about that specifically. Yeah. For me, I feel like that where that grows, where the jadedness thrives, is when there is a lack of purpose and goals.
Well, yeah.
Okay, that was a good show. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, done. Yep. We are wrap this. We are going to wrap this. But it's like it's not just necessarily about that. Even like you know, there's a few ways to come out of it. You know. Just new experiences, seeking new experiences.
If someone's bored, that's why they're, you know, jaded. Then new experiences, they could still keep doing the same job. Like the job could be monotonous. However, you know, perhaps then getting excited that on the weekend they're going to take up, I don't know, learning how to scuba dive.
Yeah.
Putting that
in a skydive.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Down to, I guess, it's the reason that you're jaded. In that reason is also going to be the solution, isn't it? Whether it's that you need new experiences, or whether it's that you need a goal in your job, or whether it's you need some sort of, you know, satisfaction or response in a relationship.
Because most people are doing jobs they don't even like anyway. So it's like, well, what's the point of that? You know. So looking for that new job, but you know, I think there's a lot of, and we speak about this a lot, that kind of self-care, you know, practicing self-care, you know, doing all that we can to sort of nurture that emotional well-being. You know, if you're in a relationship that's not really going anywhere and you're just in a monotonous thing, then you know, you need to look at why you're even there. You know, what's really happening. I watched a movie last night. This guy and a girl, they're in such a distrusting, horrible relationship. It was cringy to watch. I was like, why would you even be there? You know, but you know, it's because they have a lack of trust in previous relationships, and they're kind of, you know, so they're just end up fighting with each other. It's just like, well, you know, that needs to be changed. You know, that's where that mistrust comes in. So fostering trust and having open conversations with those you're in a relationship with, and sort of, you know, it's all those kind of things, just to scratch the surface, kind of help mitigate that feeling of jadedness kind of coming in. But it's using that knowledge to be as a compass almost, isn't it? To sort of try and navigate, you know, towards that feeling of, you know, you want the passion and the joy and that vitality, and you know, that's kind of the direction you want to sort of go in, isn't it?
You have to also then build that self-trust as well.
Yes.
Because it takes courage to put yourself out on a limb. You know, if you're in a relationship or in a job or just your life as itself, you're feeling jaded or bored or unenthusiastic, it's having the courage to have a go at something that you could very well fail at, for sure. Yeah. However, you'll grow, you'll learn, you'll have an experience, and that could lead to the next step. You just don't know. Exactly. And yet, you know, so many people, because they do not trust their own ability to survive being out of their comfort zone, they instead stay in the comfort zone, become jaded, become cynical, and become stagnant, to be honest.
Yeah,
because they don't trust themselves, right?
Definitely. And you know, context of workplace.
Yeah,
you get that sort of you know, trust is such a cornerstone, isn't it? Sorry, cornerstone.
Heck yeah.
You know, of human.
Are you making vaginas with your hand?
You know what I mean? I was trying to make a cornerstone shape, but it wasn't working.
Mm-hmm.
You know, on professional levels and you know, personal levels. But you know, so when that trust is broken, and when that trust is broken, it creates that kind of profound. It's quite a profound emotional wound. We were talking about this with, you know, some other stuff that we were doing, right? And it, you know, came out in one of my things that actually where, you know, that it can creep in, and whatever level of education you are and expertise in the mind, we're all human, and we all have to be aware of these things, right? So
yeah,
you know, when you experience that sort of a betrayal from somewhere, you know, from either a loved one or someone in the workplace, like your boss treats you badly, or you know, it can leave you sort of scarred and cautious, I guess. So it makes you stick barrier, you know, nearly said erect there, but you know, stick these barriers up. I don't know which is worse, as a sort of a shield, because it shields you from any further emotional investment in the job you're doing, you know, which then fosters the skepticism and, you know, that kind of.
That's the problem, isn't it? Is knowing or having someone you trust, I suppose, that can gauge when, you know, that barrier you put up to protect yourself, when does it turn into a prison instead?
Yes.
It's no longer protecting you, it's actually imprisoning you from having those experiences, from getting out of your comfort zone, all of those things. And it takes courage, it takes risk. And as I said before, there's plenty of people, and I've been that person once upon a time, that really didn't think I was worth the risk. You know, so you stay in your comfort zone. And now, hell yeah, I'm worth a risk, honey. So that's self-worth, isn't it? Self-worth, self-trust, that yes, you can be scared and still step out into that unknown and see what happens. Actually create life instead of simply just, you know, running the hamster wheel of what life tells you should be doing. That takes courage to do that. So that's how I would say, you know, that if you're listening to this and you are feeling jaded, where can you step out? Because at the moment you are choosing to stay comfortable. And the funny thing about a comfort zone,
it's not comfortable at all.
It's not really comfortable at all. It's what's the word I want, Adam? It's constricting, isn't it?
Very much so.
And limiting. So you can get to the point where you feel like you're suffocating, and imprisoned is another good word for it.
1,000,000%. You know, people say to me all the time, I mean, I've been self-employed for
ever
most of my life. Yeah, most of the time. You know, I've had jobs and stuff and big careers, but you know, self-employed majority of it, and you know, grew up in a self-employed household. You know, my mum had a job, my dad was self-employed always. And the rest of my family were. So people go, oh, you know, I just want the security of a salary every month. It's like, yeah, that's secure. It's about as secure as, you know, trying to use a wet tea towel as a parachute. You know, it's like, you could get sacked tomorrow. Yeah. And then, yes, okay, there's a bit of, you know, Workforce Australia and blah, 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 this and that to, mitigate a few things. But actually it doesn't help at all. I've paid millions of dollars in tax in Australia in the last 12 years since I've been here, and I know I wouldn't see a penny of it, in help or assistance coming back again. The system is not built to help you; it's built to do the opposite. In actual fact, so getting it out of your head that there's safety in having a job is ridiculous, because it keeps you in a comfort zone, keeps you restricted, keeps you in a box, keeps you in a certain identity. What's the first thing that people ask you when you go to a party? What do you do? The first thing, that's very tied to an identity. So if it's going to be tied to your identity, you might as well be who you want to be and do what you want to do.
I love that. Yes.
Why the hell not? Because otherwise you are literally, succumbing to a label that somebody has stuck on you, and also a salary level for that too. And I think that sucks.
Well, that being said, I will say that if you are in a job that excites you, that ticks your boxes, that you're excited to have that, then hell yeah, be
Nothing
you.
wrong with that. And you find those people are the ones that rise to being the CEO of that company, or they start at the bottom and they're doing something they're passionate about, and they end up doing those big, lovely, high-flying jobs with a wonderful salary. But
well, see, I don't necessarily agree with that though either. I think there are different sorts of people. There are people that want more and more and more. However, I've come across plenty of nurses, for an example, who are not interested in becoming higher. What they do is they actually just see the daily kind of goals and enjoyment and rewards in
absolutely.
what they do every day.
So there's more to it than money. Absolutely.
Yeah,
but still be in charge of a ward, and loving what you're doing, and just be there because you just love what you're doing, but still being paid what you deserve to be paid. You could generally find the people that are whinging about stuff are the ones that are not getting the things they want. They're not doing the job that they want and are passionate about. They're not getting the reward for it because they're not doing what they're passionate about. So
yeah, that's the key. It's about doing what you're passionate about. Are you getting rewarded for what you're doing, whether that's internal or external?
Exactly.
You have to be filling your cup with what you're doing, because if you're not getting your cup filled, then you will become jaded, because you right back to what you said first, Adam. Why bother? You end up in that cycle of, what am I even doing? Why do I even care?
Yeah.
And that's just a slippery slope, right?
Oh, so slippy. It's ridiculous.
So slippy.
Yeah.
All right. Have you got any wrap ups there, or are you happy with where we've left that?
I'm, I think there's so many nuances. But I think we've absolutely covered them. I think, just being aware of being jaded, as that, that coming from the negative experiences, those multiple factors, looking at the different things. Are you in a negatively charged situation all the time? Are you're exposed to that? What's your emotional state? Are you emotionally exhausted? Are you just tired? Are there any medical conditions? Have a look at if you are feeling jaded, have a look at all of these things and have a good, honest chat with yourself, and just say, you know what? Yeah, this needs to change, and then just grab yourself by the short and curlies and get it done.
Oh, boom. Adam Truelove. Telling it like it is. Love it. Thank you so much, Adam. I've had a blast today.
No, it's been great, as always.
Love you lots.
Love you
See
too.
you all next Friday. See you then.
Bye.